Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to proudly introduce and give you an overview to the Ocean Swift Wavetable Creator. This is an application for creating wavetables, and maybe there are other applications where you can create wavetables, and some synths allow you to create wavetables inside the synth itself. So for example, Serum and Vital and some other synths, you can create your own wavetables in there. But this application has a number of unique features that the other applications and ways of making wavetables don't have. And in addition, they have sort of my creativity in experience and exploration in the way we created wavetables at Ocean Swift in the past. And we kind of brought some of those concepts together into a really cool application. So what do we have here? So again, this is an application for creating your own wavetables. At the end of the day, you'll be clicking to either create one wavetable or create a batch of wavetables and end up with wavetable files, such as the ones that I already have here on my system. We'll get into this whole folder structure in a minute. But you'll end up with some wavetables and you can just use them in your wavetable synths. So that's the kind of end goal, and to give you the creative outlet for doing that. The big catch here, I said this is a little bit different than other wavetable applications. So the number one feature, and I want to actually start with this feature because it's so important. If you look at wavetable synthesizers, I have here the manual for this Wavetable Creator open. If you go all the way and scroll to the bottom and look at our compatibility sort of entry here in the manual, we see that we discuss here that our wavetables that we generate with this application are compatible with a wide range of applications, pretty much every single application. But that isn't always true for wavetables you create or you find elsewhere or that are compatible with other synths. As you can see, various, let's not call it just synthesizers, various applications that use wavetables work with different frame sizes and different cycle counts. So for example, if I have a wavetable that has a frame size of 256 and it has, I don't know, 256 cycles, that's probably kind of rare. I don't know if I'll have one like that because none of them use that exact combination, but you can see that there are a lot of combinations here. There's not really a standard. Many use 2048 and 100, but not all, including some modern ones that use different schemes. So Reason Europa 1024, and I think Ableton's is 1024. So yeah, a lot of different things. And the same again, so that's just the frame size, and the same with the cycle count. So how many cycles are in a wavetable? So just for example, if we go here on a visualizer on 16, then this created wavetable file will have 16 cycles. And some older ones even work with 16. I don't think you'll find a modern one that works with only 16, but just in case you have 16 as well. So where am I getting at? So let's say you have some, I don't know, a wavetable for Falcon, and it's 2048 and 256, and you want to load it in Ableton, or it just won't work, or it will work in an awkward way. It won't understand exactly. And even there are synths that know how to work with different sizes, but why wouldn't you want to give it the longest size? So if it can work with 256, that's a really nice, you can get really nice morphs on the wavetable, so you'd want it to work with 256. Bottom line, this application can create at once all those different sizes. So let's say you have a wavetable that you like. I'll quickly just create something. I'll click here random a few times, and let's say we have some wavetable that we decide we want to keep it. I can go here and select, instead of selecting a cycle size and a frame size, I can go to all cycles, and then I can go to all sizes, and then I can do create random batch, for example. This will also randomize the settings. This is just for the example of the creation. Let's create just 5 because it might take it a while because it's creating, again, all those different sizes. Let's quickly give our folders a name. So let's call it batch example, and now it'll start creating them. It'll go one by one. It will create 5, so you see that it's working. Again, it's creating all those different sizes and all those different cycles. We can go into our batch example and see that it's doing exactly that, and it finished. And now if we go, now remember, even though now we were creating a random batch and we were randomizing everything, it first creates the same exact wavetable for all the different cycle sizes and frame sizes. So if I go now here into cycle count 100, frame size 2048, I go to wavetable number 1, it's exactly the same wavetable as far as settings, yeah, as if I go to cycles 512 and size 256 and go to wavetable 1. There will be the same mathematical wavetable. This one, of course, will be a little bit, yeah, if you go here, it's the most detailed, right, to 512 and 2048 frame size. That will be the most detailed, obviously. But yeah, basically that's it. So bottom line, you're really compatible with all these things that you saw here. Oops, where were we? So why do I have Chrome open? So all these things that you saw here, you are compatible with them. Whether it be even like mathematical environments like MATLAB or synths or modulars, yeah, the sky's really the limit here. And again, this is the exact same wavetables. Let's go back, reset everything now, and talk about some more features of this application. So again, remember, end goal is to actually create interesting wavetables, not just that they are compatible with everything. And what we have here is a sort of system that, yeah, again, it's based on my exploration and experimentation over the years. At Ocean Swift, we had some Python scripts that we like to use that were doing sort of things like this. We experimented with a lot of crazy things. Sometimes we would start with 4 waves and mix them and mash them up and do a lot of different things. And I kind of wound down to this particular setup that I really, really like. I think it's super powerful. And on the other hand, it's quite intuitive and easy to use. So let's go here and do off wave 1. So only view the first wavetable for a minute. And let's go to 16 cycles. So the visualizer is kind of simplified. If we go really here, it's really hard to see exactly what it's doing, especially here that it's on a sine wave. So let's go to 16 cycles. We can keep the frame size like this. Let's remove our randomization and everything, and we're kind of now just off. And what we have here, this mixing options, we'll talk about it in a minute, but now it's off. So we're only relating to wave 1, and we'll only be also seeing a visualization of wave 1. So I said you have 2 waves, but those 2 waves are actually kind of not just, you don't just select the first wave and select the second wave. Each one of them is built out of different shapes that crossfade into each other. And there's also a shaper step at the end that can quite drastically shape the sound. So basically you have, again, five different slots here. The first, the early, the middle, the late, and the end. However number of waves that you have selected here in cycles will be divided by 5. And the wave will kind of crossfade between the different shapes that you set up over here from start to finish. So let's just try that, right? So now we have a sine at the start and we have a sine at the end. We'll get into the possible waveforms in a second. Let's first understand the way it's built. So now you will see that it starts off as a sine and it slowly, gradually over here, just at the very end, it turns into a square. And if we put it back on sine, it will turn into a sine. So, oops, I don't want to change the shaper. And again, of course, it's not a perfect square because it's kind of like a square that's mixed with a sine, right? If we go earlier to the square, you know, we'll see that the crossfade already happens much earlier and it's already kind of settled down to the square shape over here. So we can do that with like just go sine, triangle, sawtooth, square, and whatever. Like, I don't know, back to a sine wave maybe. And oops, I did the noise. So sine, triangle, sawtooth, square, sine. And we will see that already we have this wave, and this wave kind of will morph through the shapes as it goes. We can quickly listen to this example. So let's just do example 1, and we won't now be creating a batch. We'll create just that one single size, frame size and cycle size, so we can drag it over into our synth. And remember, we just have wave 1 active at the moment. So we click here. We saw that little quick working, and this was actually super quick because it's just one wavetable, right? We're not really taxing it. And we have our created wavetable, and we can load it in. And we'll see that just like it showed here, if we go back to the simpler view, you know, we see that it starts on a sine, and then, yeah, it ends on like a square signish sort of thing because of like the crossfading, and we see that that's what we got. And to be honest, in the world of wavetables, this is already a legitimately cool wavetable. I mean, you can morph this thing, and it's already going to be very nice. But yeah, we can do so much more. And let's have a look. So that was a really basic idea of how each one of wave 1 and wave 2 work. The last step that we didn't yet look at is the shaper step. And this basically takes wave 1 in of itself, and you can apply really cool shapers on it. There's a big list, and let's just take some examples. So sync 2, this kind of mimics the behavior and the sound of as if there was ask sync, like it forces it to retrigger again. Sync 2, you can think of it basically as doubling the frequency in the end because it doubles the cycle. So this is like an octave above, kind of. And sync 3, now it's a little bit inharmonic, right? Because it's not pure doubling. So you have all these different things, quantizations, shapers, warps, saturations, etc. You can go and look at the manual. It's actually a pretty nice read, all those different shapers and what they can do. You can find them over here. Interesting things for sure. Let's not go over every single one of them. What I would like to actually go back to really quickly is here and have a quick look at the shapes, because there are some interesting ones. So again, I'm resetting everything. I'm going back to off, and we only look at the first wave, and let's have a smoother visualization here. So you have the normal shapes, sine, square, triangle, saw, etc. I mean, and then you have a lot of interesting things. So first of all, you have noise. And of course, in wavetable applications, if you just purely take noise, it's going to sound quite weird because the wavetable synth is going to try to take that noise and form it like, still play it like an oscillator. It's going to have tonality, but it's going to be super aliased and weird. But if you use this noise, and later we'll see in crossfading and different interactions between the oscillators where it's not just a full-on noise, it adds a certain grainy, or you could say like downsampled quality to the sound. It's super interesting. So noise is also a very interesting oscillator to kind of include in these interactions. And then we have things like more experimental sort of saw, sine-based shapes, mixed shapes of saw, square and triangle. We can have a quick look. We have a shark fin. Remember, it's crossfading at this point, right? And we have different combinations of partials and harmonic things. We have even really simple impulses. This is actually quite weird to use. But another really interesting thing that we have is we have these random and complex at the very end. This one, every time that you hit it, you will get something a little bit different. So it's a little bit taking like forming an additive shape, but in a random way, like it's taking harmonics. You can read up in the manual, of course. So for example, this interesting additive, this waveform starts with a fundamental and randomly adds between 2 to 8 harmonics selected from the first 16 harmonics. Each harmonic is mixed with a randomized volume, gradually decreasing with each harmonic. So you get this really cool stuff. And again, it's random. So every time you click, it generates again. So it's not even a set shape. And the same for this complex random you have here on the bottom, and this sort of phased complex random. So a lot of creativity already in here. And remember, we are just with one oscillator. There's no interaction with the second oscillator at this point and nothing else. Let's go back again. So remember I told you that each one of these oscillators is basically 4 shapes that are crossfading into each other. Pretty easy to understand that. And then you have the exact same thing that happens with the second oscillator. So start, early, middle, late, and end. And if I'm just obviously on the first oscillator, if I now go and do stuff to the second oscillator, you will see that, oops, I'm on mix. I want it to be on off. So you see that nothing really happens, right? Even if I put the entire, let's just do that. Let's put the entire thing on a square for a second. Square, did I miss one? Square and square. Nothing happens at the moment, but now we have two oscillators, right? We have one on the sine and one on the square. And now we can choose a different interaction other than just having off wave 1. Simplest thing is we can just crossfade them. So this means that as it starts, the sine is going to fade out over the course of the waveform and the square is going to fade in. This is actually, this simple thing is actually already super nice. Like if you export it like this, let's call it syn square, I don't know, doesn't matter. Create wavetable. You'll have a really kind of nice morph that goes from the sine to the square. And we can try that. So that's just the basis, and from here you can take these interactions to so many different ways. There are a ton of interactions that you can use. Some of them involve fading. So for example, here I told you that it was crossfade. I mean, remember there's a lot of normalizing going on inside and a lot of like DC offsetting. You see that, okay, here it's crossfading, but still the whole thing is always on like really solid volume. So even if you do all these crazy fades, it's still going to work out and be a really, really solid wavetable as a result. So you don't need to worry about like dips in volume and things like that. And anyways, second one doesn't fade out the first oscillator. It just fades in the second. And this one, it doesn't fade. They both start mixed, same equal power, but the second one is mixed out. And then you have just this one where they're both just solidly mixed throughout the two waves. You have a mix where one is weighted more, etc., etc. You have more complex fade outs where you have like zigzagging, you see, where like across 1/4 of the wavetable. And this starts to get more interesting, right, when you start involving like different shapes. So let's try some stuff. And you have all these things going on between them. Then you get into more like modulation territory where you can ring modulate between them with different amplitudes, amplitude modulate. You have all these sort of spectral blends, morphing phase shifts. Wow, a lot. Phase modulation one way, phase modulation the other way, a more smooth version of this phase modulation. This sort of really weird interleaved phase mix, I actually really like that a lot. Spectral morphing, so a lot that you can do. And even in the crossfade area, like when we go here more towards the end, there's more like experimental crossfades where you have this sort of stutter mix where the crossfade is sort of, think about it like gated. So it's really quickly mixed in and out the second oscillator. You have a sort of granular crossfading where both waves are made into like these different grains and then crossfaded with each other. More glitchy stuff here in the end, and yeah, multi-band zigzag, which does zigzag crossfading, but based on frequency domains, you get really, really crazy shit. So there's really a lot you can do here. And already with these, you saw how you can really go with really something basic, with a square, a sine into a square, involve maybe some stuff in the middle. You can have all these really simple things and they are legitimate, and you can go for really, really complex things and they're also legitimate and interesting. So for example, let's just hit here on the random one time and we can see that, yeah, you see really, really interesting things. They get crazy or less crazy depending on what you end up with here on the randomizer, obviously. But yeah, speaking of the randomizer, so this is a really, really super powerful thing, because if you just click here and hit random, of course, yeah, you'll get interesting things. This is a super legitimate way and you can just really create creative wavetables that way as well. But the more advanced idea is to use that randomizer in a sort of controlled way. Now, what do I mean? So let's go back to our wave 1. We are off with everything. And let's quickly design something on the first wave. So let's do sine, and then let's do maybe a sine try. So we get just a little bit of change. And then maybe in the middle here, we'll go for a, I don't know, like a bell shape, or I don't know, maybe something a little more, maybe something a little bit more aggressive. And then we'll go back to the sine try and to the sine. So we have this thing that kind of floats in of itself and creates this weird shape already. And then let's say we want to kind of work with this shape, but we want to have variations on this basic idea, right? So we don't want to actually randomize wave 1 or wave or shaper 1. Let's say we also don't want to randomize shaper 2. What we do want to randomize, and you know what? Maybe we also don't want to randomize the interaction. Let's put the interaction on something where we can kind of, keep sort of track of what's going on. So let's do like a zigzag for both. And then now let's randomize just the second oscillator. So you will see that, we have our little setup over here, and it gets really interesting with what we're kind of feeding in addition with the second one. So I kind of like a controlled randomness, and this creates, I think, the best results where you kind of have something in mind. You have one thing, but the whole idea with Wavetables is variety and that you can quickly audition things and use different things. So a really cool idea would be to do as we did right now. We leave this way on wave 2, and then we go back to our random batch processor. Let's put our cycles here on 100. And remember, now if we wanted to create this thing for every possible synth, now let's say you're creating some wavetables for your own synth, you know exactly the frame size and the cycles for your own product or whatnot, that's totally fine. But if you want to use this Ocean Swift Wavetable Creator to create wavetable packs of your own as a sound designer that you want to sell, and you want to tell everybody that you're selling those wavetable packs that they're compatible with everything, just like we're saying this app is compatible with everything, then you'd go to all sizes and all cycles and export that way. But again, for our example, let's go back and do create random batch. You know what? Let's do the all thing. Let's do it. So let's do it this way. So now we have something that we like, and how about we call it our Sine Explorer. Yeah, it's some sort of sign with something in the middle and it explores stuff. I don't know. Now we click create random batch. Let's tell it to create just 5 so it doesn't take it like forever. And say okay, and then let's give it the same name, Sine Explorer. Now what's going to happen, so it's called create random batch. So what it's going to do is it's going to create 5 wavetables. Remember, more than 5 because of all cycles. So 5 times cycles times frame sizes. But 5 basic core, let's say, types of wavetables. And for each one, it's going to look at what's set here in the randomization settings and only randomize what is set in the randomization settings. So you already understand where I'm getting at for sure. It's going to randomize wave 2 for each one of these 5 wavetables. So we click OK. It's going to take it probably a minute because it's really creating all those sizes. So it's working. And we see now the progress. So it's on number 3 over here. It's on number 4. And it's on number 5. We get a message that it finished. We go back inside and we call it Sine Explorer. And we see that we have all the different sizes of cycles, and inside every cycle size a frame size. And by the way, we also see this folder info.txt file. And this is was just a really super low-hanging fruit to add. This makes everything compatible by default with Serum. If you tell Serum the frame size, then it knows how to work with any size, basically. That's one of the cool things about Serum, but it needs this folder info.txt to be aware of this information. So this is already in there. Again, already if you're an end user, you can just use it like this. And if you're building a wavetable pack that you want to sell, you cannot say that it's out of the box compatible with Serum. So this is kind of a cool feature. Anyways, we have our 5, and remember we randomized OSC2. So every one of them will have similar vibe in some way, but different. And how different? It depends on the randomization options that you have selected, etc., etc. Remember here, we are randomizing just OSC2, but each one has 30 something, I think 34 possible wave shapes times 5. That's a lot of possibilities that you can end up with. And if you add, I don't know, the shaper to the game, that's again I don't know, 25 or however number of shapers that we have here, it's even more possibilities. But again, it's a matter of how much you want to control and how much you want randomized. Of course, the more you go randomize on stuff, the less you will have sort of a cohesive relationship between the ones inside the folder, right? Because they will be really different from each other. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you want this similarity. So anyways, that is what I wanted to show. This is the application. We think it's super powerful. Again, there's nothing quite like it in terms of just you create a wavetable and you click to create it and you have all your frame sizes and all your cycles and you're just ready to go. But it's also not just that. This particular way of creating them, it's quite creative, it's quite powerful, it's quite flexible. All these different combinations with the controlled randomization, you get amazing results. The wavetables sound amazing. They look really cool. You can get really cool geometric things. Yeah. So this is our Ocean Swift Wavetable Creator. We hope you find some use for it. Remember, again, the license lets you do anything you want with these wavetables. You can use them in your projects. You can use them in wavetable synthesizers that you create. Hey, do you work at Waldorf? You need to update one of your synths with new Iridium with new wavetables? Go for it. Take our app. You work at Arturia, you're doing a sound pack for Pigments, go for it. You can use our app. You're making sample packs and you wanna now give your users wavetable packs, go for it. Grab our Wavetable Creator. Or you're just a power user of Serum and you want to personalize your sound, get some unique sound design and your own thing in there, grab our Wavetable Creator. Thanks for watching. See you in other videos. Ciao, ciao.